Artificial intelligence is transforming industries across the country, including the legal profession. From legal research to document drafting, AI is changing how attorneys work. But what does that mean for clients, the courts, and access to justice? I'm your host, Charlene Stanford Green, and this is the Domino Effect, where community issues meet the systems that shape them. AI is changing industries around the world, and the legal profession is no exception. From improving efficiency to raising important ethical questions, AI is transforming the way legal professionals work and how legal services may be delivered in the future. Joining us today is attorney C. Todd Smith to help us better understand how artificial intelligence is shaping the future of law and what it could mean for attorneys and the communities that they serve. Welcome, Todd. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Charlene. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. And I know for you personally and professionally, you are really passionate about AI.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, awesome. Now, for your personal work, you are an attorney that does personal injury, but talk to us about AI. First of all, I want to say that it is booming across the industry. I see it everywhere.
Right.
So for folks at home that don't know, can you just explain to us what is AI? What is artificial intelligence?
So everybody's talking about AI now, right, Charlene?
Yes.
Yeah, so generally artificial intelligence is a computer system that somewhat simulates human intelligence by doing things we normally associate with things we do, like reading or writing or certain tasks on a computer. Now AI is able to do those things very similar in a way like humans might do before.
Okay, and with doing that, I would think one of the main reasons people are using it is to save time.
Well, it's a big time saver. It also is kind of, we're familiar with searching on Google if we want answers to something. Mm-hmm. So now AI is also to help us with giving us answers to different questions or problems, or assisting us with thinking through a problem, or reading something for us, or writing something. So it can do a lot of those things that we traditionally would do. But you're right, at the end of the day, it's about saving time.
Okay, awesome. Now, specifically with the legal industry, how has AI come into play with legal professionals and the practice of law?
Yeah, so that's a big, huge area of the law right now, and a conversation a lot of us attorneys are having is how do we implement AI into our practices? The big thing I remind attorneys of is AI is not going to replace you. That's what a lot of attorneys are nervous about. But
yes.
I tell them AI is not there to replace you, but it's there to amplify your thinking, your professional judgment, and the things you do as a lawyer. It can actually amplify those things and not necessarily replace you in doing those things.
Okay, can you give an example of how it can enhance an attorney's skills by using AI?
Sure. So I think where most attorneys have started using AI is in simple things like drafting, writing an email, writing a letter, maybe even doing legal research. But that's just really the tip of the iceberg. What I encourage attorneys to do is think about using AI throughout their entire organization. So everything from training their staff, to doing reviews of staff, to creating strategy for your business or for your firm, obviously to help with your clients and the legal matters you're working on. So that can be drafting, research, writing. I'll give you a couple of examples in my practice. So I do personal injury cases, so that means we have sometimes thousands of pages of medical records that we need to review.
That's going to take a long time to do.
That would take hours and hours and hours to do. So now I can put those records in the AI tool that I use at my firm, and I can get a summary of the medical records using the AI tool. Now that doesn't replace me going in and still reviewing the records, but when I need a quick summary or I'm looking for specific information, the AI tool I use can help me find that information much quicker.
Okay, and when you're using AI in that circumstance, is it filtering by topic or subject so that it's giving you like a beautiful summary and it's easy to review?
It depends on what information you put in the prompt. And so when I say prompting, that's kind of the basic way that you would ask an AI tool to give you some type of response. So a prompt, think about it with the way we used to do Google searches. You would put in the topic you're looking for on Google.
Right.
Well, prompting is like that, but different. Prompting is where you're telling it what you want it to do. You're giving it a task to do. think about it this way. Like if you had a legal assistant and you gave them a project to do, you'd want to give them the instructions on how to do it.
Correct.
So AI is kind of like a legal assistant you just hired today.
Wow.
You have to train it, tell it what you want it to do, give it the context, give it information about how the task is going to be performed, and then it'll give you the response and give you the output. So with medical records, for example, I may have a very, very detailed prompt that tells it exactly what records I want it to extract and how I want those organized and how I want the summary to look.
Okay, and if you enter the prompt, it gives you the results. Are you then able to refine it even further?
So it really is like a chat where you would just continually have a conversation again.
Like us.
Like us. So if you were talking to a legal assistant and the output they gave you is like not quite right, there was an error, there's a mistake, or that's not exactly what I was looking for, what would you do with your legal assistant? You would say, go back, do this, try it this way.
Try it again.
No, I wanted this, not that. And then they would come back and bring you the product, the output. That's exactly the same thing that these chat AI tools do for you the same kind of way.
Wow, so that's saving you a ton of time, it's saving you a ton of energy, and then it seems like it's giving you really beneficial and helpful results.
Really, really helpful results. So I'll give you another example. I had a phone call with a client yesterday scheduled, and I just had a few minutes before the call, so I could open up the client's folder with all of their information, and I could quickly ask a few questions to get me caught up on a couple of the issues that I needed to discuss with the client. And then it gave me a great outline. Here's the 3 topics you want to discuss. Here's the questions you want to ask. Here's the information you're trying to get from the call. Very, very helpful.
That's fascinating. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's saving you so much time and also just improving your efficiency to then help other clients and get to other matters as well. Wow, I think that's fantastic. So for law firms and legal organizations, what advice do you have for them with all the different options for AI? There's so many platforms, so talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Charlene. A lot of lawyers are like, Todd, where do I start? What AI tools do I use? So the AI tools are I divide them into a couple categories.
Okay.
One category is legal specific. So these are vendors that typically sell software to attorneys, and they've taken the models from other AI providers that we've all heard of, like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Microsoft Copilot. But typically it's going to be OpenAI's ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude. And legal vendors have taken those models and then they've built an interface on top of that that is really easy for lawyers to use. So it's built for lawyers to use the tool. That's one category of AI tools available for lawyers. But then lawyers can also use those non-legal tools like ChatGPT or Claude, but there are some guardrails and specific things I caution attorneys about if they're using those non-legal versions.
Okay, so what are some things they might be on the lookout for if they're going to do that route?
Number one is that they can't use a free AI tool. So if you use the free version of, for example, ChatGPT or Claude, it actually is training on the data and the conversation you're having with it. That's one of the concerns. So that means your client information, if you're putting client information in that tool, it's not remaining confidential.
Oh, we don't want to do that at all.
We don't want to do that.
I know that's one thing for every attorney, I should say, is keeping the information and the client information confidential. So you would be able to maybe use general terms instead when searching.
You could use general terms and you could ask general questions, but you would not want to put any personal identifiable information in that tool for a client or any specific information about a specific case, because you might have issues there. You're not actually maintaining client confidentiality by using that free tool. The other issue with the free tools is they just don't have the level of security that you need. So that's where a paid version, and specifically a business version that has some kind of enterprise level security and protection, is going to be the preferred route for lawyers. So you can use the non-legal tool, you just need to use the business version so you have those security protections in place.
Okay, so you can utilize both of them, but just keep in mind when using which one, thinking of the security, thinking of the enhanced features that's going to protect the client and the information.
You've got to have that security built in so you're maintaining that client confidentiality.
Okay, awesome. Now, what about people that are just hesitant to use AI? what do you tell them with regards to them being a little nervous or just, holding back because it's new and it's changing all the time?
Well, I know there's some scary stuff about AI, right?
Yes.
And we see a lot of that in the news. And I think there are a lot of things we have to be aware of. We have to be responsible with how we use AI, and we have to have some guardrails in place. But AI, it's just a computer system. It's not actually thinking. It's not actually speaking or communicating like we do. It's just a computer system that's learned how to communicate in a way that's very smart. It's like a super smart assistant. But the way to jump in is just to try it. Have fun. If you want to ask about advice on traveling somewhere, or ask for a recipe, or I've got these 3 ingredients in my fridge, what can I cook tonight for dinner? Try it and use it for something fun in your personal life, and then you'll start seeing how it's really not that scary and it's actually really helpful.
Okay, awesome. I can't wait to talk to you more about this, so stay with us. We've introduced AI and how it's already changing the legal profession. When we return, we'll discuss the opportunities, the ethical considerations, and the challenges that come with this rapid evolving technology. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Welcome back to the Domino Effect. AI is creating new possibilities for the legal profession, but it's also raising important concerns and questions. Let's talk about them. Now, Todd, when it comes to attorneys and law firms, what are some of the biggest ethical considerations that law firms need to keep in mind when using AI?
Yeah, that's a really important question. So there's really 3. The first is accuracy. So you want to make sure the information you're getting out of the tool is accurate. Supervision. So just the same way we have to supervise our staff and our team to make sure the work they're doing is proper and correct, you have to supervise the tools that you're using. And then the third is confidentiality. We have to make sure, as we talked about before, that we're maintaining client confidentiality. Those are 3 very big ethical concerns that lawyers should have when using any kind of AI tool.
Okay, now I've heard and seen that there have been cases that are in the news where an attorney is using AI, getting case law, getting research, filing their motions, and then all of a sudden they're getting in trouble and they're getting sanctions from the court. Are you familiar with that, and why is that happening?
Yeah, very familiar, unfortunately, because it happens a lot.
Right, all the time.
All the
Unfortunately.
time, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just looking at a website recently that tracks these kind of things, and they had reported over 1,000 cases in the U.S. over the last few years of attorneys citing hallucinated cases. So
what? 1,000 cases?
Yeah, 1,000 times this has happened at least across the country.
Well, why is this happening if attorneys know that they should be on the lookout for, what did you call it, hallucinated cases? So what does that mean?
So in AI, a hallucination just means that the AI is giving an incorrect or a wrong response. So these tools, they're not magic. They don't actually have a brain and speak or communicate the way we do. They're really based on what's called an LLM, or a large language model.
Okay.
And what that means is they have trained the tool to look at data. They've used all the data available on the internet, millions and millions of pages of articles, books, all kinds of written text,
wow,
and studied that, and the AI tools learn how to predict what word should come next in a sentence. That's kind of a simplified look at how LLMs work. So what happens is sometimes they get it wrong. They predict the wrong thing. So we've seen cases cited in an attorney's pleading or a memorandum or a brief that are completely made up fake cases. They don't exist.
So the attorneys at that point are using the AI, which is helping them to generate the case law, the legal argument, and then they're not checking the citations to make sure they are actually accurate and real cases?
That's what's happening. And you know, Charlene, when first day of law school almost, they teach us what's called shepherdize your research, which means to check it, read the case, make sure it's still good law and says what you think it says. So these attorneys are, unfortunately, maybe they're overworked or maybe they're over-relying on AI, and they're just asking AI to create a brief or a memorandum, and they're not actually checking the cases in what work they're filing with the court, and courts don't like that.
I was going to say there are actual consequences when they're doing that, with sanctions and getting in trouble, you know, public reprimand where people are now able to read about this, see the articles. Like you said, you have a tracker that tells you what's going on and how this is trending all over. So do you think it's just attorneys are overwhelmed in terms of utilizing their time and they just are trying to, you know, get these motions generated back to back to back without checking the citations?
Well, I think that is part of it. And I always tell attorneys that AI should not replace your thinking, it should amplify your thinking. So you can't just rely on the AI tool to always get the answer right. You have to use your own judgment and be responsible and look and make sure that the output is correct, because it's going to make mistakes. Just like a legal assistant, if you gave them the task of writing a brief, they might make a mistake or cite a bad case or an improper case. So you have to review that work. So with AI, there always has to be a human in the loop. I tell attorneys to think about it, the 10-80-10 rule. 10% at the beginning is you doing the work, putting in the prompt, telling it what you want it to do. Maybe it does 80% of the work for you and it gives you the brief or the pleading, but the last 10% is human in the loop. You have to review the output and make sure it's accurate and that it's correct.
Well, and it falls back on you, so you're signing the pleading, you're signing the document, and you're making sure that you're the one that's submitting that to the court. So at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be held responsible, not only for the submission, but also you're representing a client and his or her interests. So it's really important to keep that in mind.
Absolutely, very important to keep that in mind. And I think what some lawyers have done, and they've even said this in explanations to the court about why they cited these hallucinated cases, is they just over-relied on the AI tool. They thought it was infallible. They thought the answer was always going to be right. And AI can be very convincingly wrong. It can give you bad information, but be very confident that it's telling you something that's accurate. So that's why you always have to use your judgment as an attorney to make sure the output is correct. And the Florida Supreme Court has recently addressed this for Florida lawyers, that we now have to certify when we file something with the court. There's a certification that we're saying all of the case law in that brief or memorandum or pleading is accurate and it's not hallucinated.
Wow, I noticed that recently when I was going to e-file a pleading on the Florida Court's e-filing portal, and it came up and it was new. So I am a fan of them doing that with regard to making sure there's some, you know, security and authentication in terms of the work you're submitting to the court. So I think that's a great idea.
It's a good idea. I'm a little old school, so I would love for us to just know to do that on our own as attorneys.
Automatically, right? You should know this.
It's good to have the reminder.
Okay. Now, what about consumers that are relying on AI for legal advice? Talk to us about that. Do you see that often now with filing cases? I've heard there's an increase in the number of pro se clients that are now filing their own responses using AI to help them.
So, no, people should not use AI for legal advice. Now, AI is great for legal information.
Okay.
So it's a really good resource to learn about maybe the legal issues or ask questions about maybe something you're dealing with, but it's not a substitute for legal advice.
Okay.
And legal advice can only come from an attorney that's been trained as a lawyer and has the experience and wisdom and understanding to actually give specific legal advice on a specific matter for a client.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, at the end of the day, you want someone who is certified, who is licensed in the state and that jurisdiction to be able to go to and actually look over everything and not just rely on AI.
Absolutely. Just like we said, AI gets things wrong, so you cannot rely on it for legal advice.
Okay, now how are courts preparing for AI-generated evidence and deepfakes, and can you tell us what that means?
Yeah, this is going to be a huge challenge, not just for courts, but for all throughout our society. You know, we're seeing now a photograph that can look absolutely real, and it's a completely fake photograph, right?
Yeah, now how are you supposed to tell the difference if it's real or not? That's what I'm baffled by.
Very, very difficult. Same thing with video. You can make a video of something that is completely fake and made up, but it looks very real.
Yes.
And you can use people's images and their likeness, and it can look like someone is in any situation you put them in this video, but it's not actually real. It's completely made up.
That's scary.
Very scary. So it's going to be a challenge for courts. One thing is going to be looking at the metadata, and that is the kind of computer information that's embedded in files when something is created. When you take a photograph, even with your phone, there's metadata that shows when the photo was taken, where it was taken, the actual information that is embedded inside that file. So it may take some expertise of people looking at the metadata in files, but it also goes back to just general authentication of a photo, for example. So when you're in trial and you're going to admit a photo into evidence, you have to authenticate it.
Right.
And that's usually with a witness who says, yes, it's a fair and accurate likeness of what it depicts to be.
Correct.
We're going to be doing the same kind of analysis with these fake photos. You're going to have to authenticate that, maybe through a witness or some other testimony.
Okay, and courts are seeing this more and more often where people are using these deep fakes and trying to get that into evidence.
Yeah, that's right. That's going to be a continuing thing, and we're going to have to deal with it.
Wow. So what advice do you have for someone that is trying to perhaps avoid doing that? So if they don't have a witness that can authenticate the photo, or they believe the picture is true to the best of their knowledge, what do you tell them?
Well, that's really challenging. I mean, if you just have a photo and you want to say this photo means something that is in the photo is true, that's not going to be enough.
Okay.
You're going to have witnesses who saw whatever is in the photo, or the witness that would allegedly have taken the picture.
Correct.
You know, that's how you're going to have to authenticate something like that. And if you don't know who took the picture and you don't have any witnesses that saw what the picture depicts, you may not be able to use that picture as evidence.
Wow. Well, it seems like the courts are getting strict, and we're going to talk more about how AI can help the community when we get back, so stay right here with us. Coming up, we'll look at the future of artificial intelligence and what it could mean for access to justice, the legal profession, and the communities that we serve. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Domino Effect. AI isn't slowing down anytime soon. Let's talk about where it's headed next. Now, Todd, where do you think AI will be for legal professionals in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's such an interesting question, Charlene. I mean, it's accelerating and moving so fast, it's hard to predict 5 to 10 years out. But what we're already starting to see we're moving from what's called prompting the AI to do something to actually using what is called agents or agentic AI. And that's where you actually create systems that go and do work, or they do tasks on your behalf in the background without you prompting them to do the work.
What?
Yeah, really exciting stuff.
So can you give us an example? Do you use that in your personal life, or is that something that's not quite ready yet?
Well, I'll give you an example. No, it's definitely ready. It's here. Agents are a big thing that a lot of people are using. So a couple of examples of how I'm using it at my firm. One is maybe to review all the work I did this week, and on Monday morning, send me an email with a list of the status of all the projects that I'm working on. So it's in the background scanning my email, scanning my folders, and the work that I did this week to tell me what I need to work on next week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, another example is we scan our mail every day, and we have an agent that goes to this mail folder, scans all of that mail, and creates a summary of all the mail we received that day, and then emails everyone, here's the list of today's mail that we received.
So you have this set up right now to utilize in your own personal law firm.
Right.
And it's already taking place. So you're getting these weekly updates, you're getting a summary of your mail. So you're not even, when the mail's open, it's just scanned into the system and it does this on its own?
Yeah, so we scan the mail, and then the mail goes into a folder where it's been scanned, and then the agent goes and looks at the mail in that folder and creates the report about what was in that mail for the day. So it gives us alerts about important things or deadlines or correspondence from the court or settlement offers or some other things we've identified that we want to immediately know about as soon as that mail gets scanned.
And have you found in using that it's accurate with regard to like a court deadline or something that's coming up? It's really accurate with telling you this is happening on this date and time. Of course, you can go back and check it, but does it highlight that for you or make it bold or in some way emphasize that deadline?
Yeah, it absolutely does. That's the first thing it tells us in the report for the day of any deadlines or urgent mail that we receive. Now, it can still make mistakes, so we always have to go back and check it. And again, human in the loop,
Right.
You've got to go back and make sure it's accurate.
Oh, wow. That seems amazing, though. So it's called agents.
Those are agents or agentic AI, right?
Agentic AI, okay.
Right.
Now, what about access to justice and improving justice? How do you see AI helping with that and also the impact it's having on our community?
Yeah, so I think AI can really create a level playing field in a lot of ways for communities that may be underserved or even communities that don't always have access to a lawyer. And again, be careful, AI is not going to give you great legal advice, but it can give you great legal information. So you can learn about your rights. If you're in a particular dispute or you have a problem that you need to try to address, AI can actually help you come up with potential solutions. And for a lot of folks, they get in a situation, they just don't know which way to turn.
Right, they don't know where to start, they're nervous, they're scared, they get something in the mail, they get served with legal papers. You know, where do they even begin?
That's a great place to begin, is go to one of these AI tools and get familiar with how to use it, and then put in the information or the problem that you're dealing with and ask AI, hey, help me come up with a plan to address this problem. What are the next steps? What should I do? Or what are my rights? Is this fair? Is this not fair? Am I being treated improperly? Or what are my remedies here? There's lots of things you can do with AI that can definitely help you. So I think it's a great tool for people to use for sure.
Okay, now you spoke on this earlier, but remind our viewers, there's so many different platforms you can use for AI. So can you list some examples that people can use if they don't know where to start or which one to utilize?
Right, and all of these are free. So start with one.
We like that.
Yeah, right. Free is good. So start with one of these free tools until you get more comfortable. And if you have a need to have a paid version, you can do that. But ChatGPT is the one most people have heard of. Claude is another one that a lot of people are using these days. Gemini is from Google. And then Copilot is from Microsoft. Those are probably the four big ones. Perplexity is another one, and there's some others. But ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini are probably the ones most people would have access to.
Okay, and you said those are all free, and then you can also do a paid version should you choose to.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Now, what about people, you know, for a long time, even for myself, I was hearing about AI, and I just did not jump on the train. I'm finally on using Claude through our organization, which is great. But what about people that aren't jumping on? Are they going to get left behind? And also, let's talk about some of the generational gaps with regard to maybe certain populations that are scared or hesitant to even try it.
Right. So on the question of will people be left behind, I'm afraid some people might. The phrase I've heard used, and I've used it myself, is AI won't replace lawyers, but lawyers using AI will replace lawyers that don't.
Oh, that's
Right.
very true.
And especially in a lot of companies and businesses these days, over the next, we talked about 5 to 10 years, I think understanding AI and some form of AI literacy is going to be important. It's going to be an important job skill to have to be more valuable to your employer as well. So I think everybody needs to start somewhere and try to practice and learn AI and to get over that fear that they may have of it. I mentioned before, use it for fun stuff in your personal life, maybe recipes, maybe for travel ideas, maybe for a topic you want to learn about, or you hear something in the news and you don't understand it. So maybe you ask AI, hey, explain this to me so I understand it better.
Right. Give me a breakdown so it's not as maybe complex. It can do bite-sized pieces for you to be able to comprehend easily.
Exactly. One of my favorite things I like to do is I'll have some complex topic I don't quite understand, and I'll ask it to start by explaining it to me at a 5th grade level. So explain it to me like I'm a 5th grader.
And you can enter that prompt and it will do it?
Yeah, enter that prompt and it'll do it. Or 3rd grade if you want. Or as a 6-year-old, whatever you want to tell it, and it'll do it.
Sometimes simple is very better for all of us.
Simple is a good place to start.
Now, what about for folks like population-wise, if there are some groups that are just not comfortable, they're not keeping up with technology, or they're not able to really get access to a computer, what do you recommend for them?
Yeah, so if you don't have access to a computer, all of these tools are available on your phone if you have a cell phone.
Okay.
Or even if you have a computer lab at your local library or one of those locations, you can go, and they probably even have some programs there where they can help you use AI or learn how to use it. I know I've been doing some workshops myself in the community, and one I'm really excited about is I've reached out to a nursing home here in the community, and I want to start doing workshops at the nursing home and teach those senior residents there about AI and how they can start using it.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that idea. Being able to go to them, show them the tools, and maybe make it less intimidating or, not as fearful for them to try, relieve some of that anxiety and calm their nerves. So that's wonderful. And you said you're going to start doing that?
Yeah, that's something I'm working on now, a new project.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. You're clearly doing great work, benefiting your clients and then also our community. So what advice do you have for viewers that are just not familiar with AI? I know you talked about some of the platforms they can use, but what is, something you would encourage them to do if they're trying, let's say, Gemini, and just want to get the simple way to start? Do they just create a username and, profile? Is it just as easy as it sounds?
Well, it really is pretty easy, especially we'll use Gemini as the example. So that's made by Google, and a lot of people have a Google account. They may use Gmail or they have Google on their phone. And Google is really prompting you, hey, try Gemini, try Gemini. So if you just click that Learn More button that Gemini is probably sending to you, it keeps popping up all the time. Somebody complained to me about that recently.
Right.
Just click it if you want to learn more, and that's a great place to start. That one's really easy because a lot of people already have a Google account. But if you don't, for ChatGPT, for example, just go to OpenAI and create an account. And like I said, that's free to do. It only really needs your name and email address. And then you have an account, and then it's just a prompt, a box, kind of like a search box on Google. And you just put in that box anything you want to ask it. And you can even start with what I recommend. Go in your first prompt, if you've never used it before, and say, how can you help me learn to use AI?
And it can break it down
and
for you
it will
there.
create a whole plan for you on how you can learn about using AI. It's one of the first technologies that I can remember that will actually teach you how to use it. You just have to ask it.
You just have to ask it. Okay. And lastly, what is the takeaway you hope a viewer today watching will learn from our conversation?
Oh, well, I love this conversation today, and something I've been trying to remind people is we can stand still in fear, or we can move forward in growth.
I love
that. So don't be afraid of AI. We do need to be cautious about some of the negative implications of AI, and those are things we need to continue to have conversations about. We need to have guardrails in place so that we're using AI safely and responsibly, but it's not something to fear. It's something to use, learn from. It can be a great tool, and any subject in the entire world you want to learn about, it can teach you and teach you how to do it.
Oh, thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for being here today, for your insight, your experience. This was wonderful, and I know I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers did as well.
Thanks,
so we
Charlene.
appreciate you being here. We hope today's conversation has given you a better understanding of how artificial intelligence is changing the legal profession and what those changes can mean for our communities. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching. I'm Charlene Stanford Green, and this is the Domino Effect.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
At the Legal Aid Society of the Orange County Bar Association, we know that access to justice can change lives. For more than 60 years, we've been proud to stand beside our community by providing high-quality legal services to those who need them most. If you need legal help or you would like to support our mission, visit legalaidocba.org or call 407-841-8310 to learn more. Thank you for watching The Domino Effect. And remember, perpetual goodness goes a long way. Until next time.